Welcome to Transformational Pathways, a podcast created by Toastmasters District 46 in the greater New York area, where we share conversations from influencers within the Toastmasters community and people whose lives have positively transformed by walking down the Toastmasters path. Whether you're just getting started in your career, have had recent career changes, or you're navigating different languages, we're here to help you build confidence by discovering new tools, overcoming your fears to find your voice, and engaging in a thriving community. Enjoy today's episode.
Hello! Welcome to another episode of Toastmasters District 46 Transformational Pathways podcast. I'm your host, Scott Mason, and walking the pathway with me today is our guest, Johana Jiang. Johana, you have been the president of the Fordham Lincoln Center Toastmasters Club since 2019. Johana is also a graduate of Fordham University, Garabell School of Business, and is currently a marketing analyst with the Stepstone Group, a global private markets investment firm offering customized solutions and advisory and data services to some of the most sophisticated investors in the world. Johana, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Scott. I'm really happy to meet everyone here and to talk with Scott to have this podcast conversation. And I'm really honored to be invited by Young Paul. And I'm really happy to be here and hope we have a great conversation.
We're going to have a great conversation. And I've got to say, for someone who's never done a podcast before, that was said like a true Toastmaster. I can tell you've been doing a lot of table topics, Johana.
Yes, I did a lot, and I'm thinking about now today is doing a table topic for maybe 20, 40 minutes or an hour. So
we're gonna have a grand old time doing it too. And by the way, for anyone who's not a Toastmaster who might be watching this or listening to it and wondering what table topics is, it's when some random person stands up and asks you questions and you have to answer. It's a great way to learn how to deal with questions under any circumstance and sometimes under a lot of pressure. And Johana, you're an expert at it. But
thank you.
Yeah, let's pull back a second. You were not always the president of a Toastmasters club.
Of course.
When you were a child, I presume you were not the president of a Toastmasters club.
Of course.
You mentioned in our pre-interview that you are not a born and raised New Yorker. Where are you from, Johana?
Yes, I'm from China. And I came here like almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
In New York. Yeah.
Where in China are you from?
I'm from Liaoning province. Maybe some people are not familiar with this, but it's near Beijing. Everyone knows Beijing, right? So
yeah, they better.
Yeah. So it's like the same location as New York in America. So my hometown is also in the same like position in the northeast of China. And I also had my undergraduate in Shanghai, and then I came to New York for my graduate study. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, tell us a little bit about your hometown. Describe it to us for those of us who might not be able to imagine what it was like. Some of us have lived in the U.S. our whole lives, or we maybe are only from New York. Was it different than here, I suspect?
Yeah, I like to share about my hometown. It's a really great promotion to that city, right? So, actually, my hometown is also a city for traveling, so I find it's a really great place. And it's a city near the sea. In Liaoning province, the city's name is called Huludao. So it's a really small city, but have a really beautiful beach. And have a lot of seafoods, and a lot of people when it's summer they come here for traveling or holidays like that. So although it's really small, but I enjoy grow up from the sea, and also had my 18 years there, study, live there with my family. So yeah, that's pretty much about it.
tell us a little bit about your family. But before you tell us about your family, answer this question. Whose seafood is better, America's or your hometowns?
This is a really difficult question, and I won't answer it. Both of them are really great. Like few months earlier, I went to Washington D.C. and I really enjoyed the seafood there. So I will say both of them are really great, and I'm really a seafood person. So, and yeah, talking about my family, I'm the single girl in my family, so my mom and dad only have me, and I really we live together, three of us. And my mom, she's a really young woman actually, because she looks young. So, she looks like now she's in her like 40 plus, but looks like 30s like that. So every time I went shopping with her, and the people are recognize us as sisters. So that is my mom, and I'm really proud of it. But there is one thing that is not so good, is every time we went shopping that people will see me as older because she's younger. So then I will look older, right?
Well, maybe we need to found a Secrets of Youth podcast and get your mom on for an interview, okay?
Okay, sure. And although she's not like very good at English, but I can translate for her.
Tell us a little bit about your dad.
My dad, he is a really, in my mind, like handsome guy, and I'm not really close to him actually, but I know he loved me very much, and he went out to another province to work when I was in my middle school. So every year we will meet each other for maybe months like that, but we really enjoy the time with each other. And yeah, that's about him.
Wow. And when you were a little girl, would you have ever imagined that you would end up in New York City?
Sorry, what city?
New York City?
Oh, okay. So, sorry.
No.
Yeah, New York City. I can't imagine. Actually, I don't dare to imagine, you know. It's because I'm from a really, really small city, and in that small city, I can say like no one can imagine that they will be in like the one of the most biggest city in the world. So at that time, I have a dream. When I was in my high school, I have a dream to go to big city for study. And so then I went to Shanghai for my undergraduate. And, you know, in China, there is an exam called Gaokao. And it's a really, really difficult exam when you need to attend undergraduate. So then I just passed the exam, I got good grades, and then I can went to a really great big city to study. And when I came to Shanghai, and I will always say big cities always brought up my horizon. So that this emerged my dream to go to New York and study abroad. So I think I can't imagine to study in New York when I was in my undergraduate. Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what Shanghai is like. Most of the people watching or listening to this will have never been there. We've all seen the photos of the famous riverfront, but is that all there is to Shanghai? What was it like for a small town girl to suddenly end up in this big city, and how does it compare to New York?
Yes. When I first visited Shanghai, it was in my middle school. So I traveled there, and I immediately got in love with the city.
How so?
Yes, and I fall in love with it, and I know that in my undergraduate, I want to study and live in this city. So that's why I work very hard, and then my dream came true, you know. So in Shanghai, there's like a lot of similar as New York is that they have a lot of helicopters. Sorry, it's a skyscrapers. Mm-hmm. So, it's really, really big, has a lot of districts, and, you can experience everything there, like great foods from all over the world, great, places, events, museums, a lot of great things that you can do. You can imagine a lot of things. You can do everything you want to do, actually. So this kind of thing is similar as New York. In New York, I also can do everything I can imagine. And also, only a little different. You can imagine Shanghai as a cleaner version of New York.
Oh, snap. Well, let me ask you another burning question that I have.
Yeah.
So you say you could get food from around the world. Does that mean you can get American food there?
Sure, you can.
What is their idea of American food?
Maybe it's been a little changed by Chinese people, as the same that when you are in New York, the Chinese food is a little changed by the Americans. So it's like kind of similar, but you can definitely find American foods. You can find, McDonald's and great burgers. Also, a lot of like chickens, like Popeyes and Shake Shack are also open in Shanghai. So it's like same as New York, and find everything you want to eat. Yeah,
I love it. Well, I hope you ate a lot. Talk to us a little bit about what you studied there. And did you study any English, or did you know any English at all, even?
I studied in a program. The major is business administration. So it's like half Chinese, half English, I think, lessons. And I learned a lot of things there, I think, including like marketing and finance, and also management, like that. So since business administration is a really broad major, so we learn a lot of things. And I attend the University of Shanghai for Science and Technology, this university, and I studied there. I had a really great 4 years there, and got really great friends, and emerged participating clubs and have great lessons, so that I can also have good grades in my like TOEFL and GRE study, since I work hard very much, and then came to New York. Right.
After you'd lived in Shanghai for a while, do you think that you changed inside any from the young girl who'd grown up on that seaside community, small town, not really knowing anything outside of that world? Definitely.
It's like when I first came to Shanghai, I feel like I know nothing about it, and I feel I'm really, really small. Everyone in the city, they feel that they're really small in the world. At that time, I think, as you said, like Shanghai, the living in Shanghai really changed me, to make me see a lot of things that I haven't seen before. So in my hometown, it's like, because the city is too small, and you do not have like those like best resources or best everything. And then you can imagine your like next 30 or 40 years in your life, right? In small cities like that. But I know that is not what kind of life I want. So I just go into Shanghai, and there you saw a lot of opportunities, and you see your potentials there. At first, maybe a little lost, since you just enter into the city, like maybe other people are living for like 18 or 20 years, but you're jumping into it. So I was a little lost at the first time, but then I just see my potential on communication or on like study, so that I just conquer a lot of inside mind of myself. And then I think I fully adapt to the big city environment, and the pace is really fast, right? Big cities are all like that.
Yeah.
So from a small pace to a fast pace really needs some time to be adapt into. So then after 4 years, I will say the big city experience really changed my life. Yeah.
How, Johana, did you end up hopping on a plane and getting to New York? What on earth happened?
Some like part of Chinese people think the U.S. is a really like great city, a great country. Sorry, and in my mind, I always have a dream to study abroad, since as we see more and we want to experience a bigger world. Yeah. So at that time for me, Shanghai is like a big world. But U.S., New York, study abroad is like a bigger world that's in front of me. And that's why I really want to have this kind of experience to see what's a foreign country is like. And why I'm choosing the U.S. is that I think it's the best place. So, and New York is also my favorite city in the U.S. So that's why when in my junior year, I started to prepare to apply for university here. And then it just came after graduation. Yeah.
What sort of view do people have of New York City in China? What did you think New York would be like? Has it been what you thought it would be like?
For me, at that time before I came, I thought, I just thought it can be anything, it's because I'm not very familiar with a foreign city. I kind of cannot imagine that is like everything is unknown. Mm-hmm. So at that time in my mind, it's like everything can happen. And this makes me really, really excited about going abroad and adapting to a new country, a totally new environment that's different from your hometown, your home country. So that make me expectation make me really excited. And when I came here, it's true that I know nothing about this place, but I try to adapt into it again, adapt into a new environment. Yes.
What was it like for you when you first stepped foot in the Big Apple?
Yes, it's really, I thought the feeling is like it was a dream.
Really?
Yeah, but I think back to in my maybe 10, 15s, I would never dream about that I can be the person here who I am now. So, and a lot of people or students in my hometown, they just can't imagine this kind of big steps, Wow. So for me, when I first came here, I felt that, it is a dream. It was a dream at that time. And I kind of, need sometimes to went back into the reality that to be more familiar with this city. At first, it's not really, really, really well because I'm not adapt enough. So a lot of things I even cannot doing very well in a supermarket. So at that time, excited but a little nervous and really feel like a dream. So it's like, I am Alice,
And you found your Wonderland. Johana, you mentioned a few minutes ago that a lot of the folks that you might have grown up with in the small town can't even imagine taking such big steps with their lives. Are you still in touch with any of those folks? And does that sheer magnitude of steps that you've taken create any tension in the relationships that you have with those folks? And if so, how do you deal with it?
So it's true that I feel like because I went to like another world, so our distance is like further and further. But I had really great friends in my high school and in my middle school. So we are still keeping in touch, and it's like, I think people all over the world, they will feel like when with your friends in your young ages, it's more familiar that no matter what kind of person they are now or where they are now, it's like you will always feel familiar with them since you grow up together. Yeah. So I think for me, I keep really great in touch with them, and they always support me when I'm chasing my dream. So went to Shanghai, went to New York is all about my dream about a bigger world that I can see, I can live in. And my friends, they support me very so much. And when I'm lost, they will, because we have the phones, so we connect with each other very easily. And then I miss them very much. It's every time, every holiday, every festival, we'll say, okay, we are not together, but I miss you so much. It's like sometimes we do video chat like that. So that's the way I'm keeping in touch with those my best friends, and I believe that they will be my friends for forever. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Now, I will admit, there are some of my high school friends. I grew up in a small town too. Some of my high school friends I keep in touch with. Others, I have to say, who are you? I don't know you. I never knew you. But that's a different story. We'll talk about what it was like coming here to New York as a student. You had to adjust to the city, but you also suddenly found yourself at Fordham University. Talk to me a little bit about what that was like.
So when I first came here, I just attend like some of our school's program that will help us to emerge more into the city. So like the program that the leader of the program just took us to really kind of live the life of New Yorker. We went to Broadway shows and went to museums, went to see the vessel, the Statue of Liberty, and I felt like I really emerged into this kind of environment. But at first, it's true, it's difficult to like rent for an apartment or even buying something, or just went somewhere with the New York subway, you know. So when times along the time and when you became more familiar with it, it's more comfortable that you live here. And that was the first struggle for me when I just came here and attend school. But when maybe like 1 or 2 months after my program started, it's like I was kind of familiar with the kind of studying environment in my school, and with the professors, they are always really supportive, and I also have my classmates as my roommates, so I didn't get lost at that time, but I saw a lot of better people. You know, I will always say, when like came to New York is a kind of experience that really brought up my horizon. Is like I really met a lot of excellent people I didn't even imagine of. So that's really give me a lot of, like encourage me myself to work harder. And that's the way, yes, it's true that I also got some pressure on myself, but, it's like you have to balance it a lot. And you really want to become the kind of person they are. Since when I came here, I barely can talk very fluently, and I cannot even like dare to speak up a lot in front of people like that. So that's why I'm joining Toastmasters, by the way. So, so that is a really difficult, but also, really important time for me.
Talk to us a little bit more about that language issue. Johana, I came from America, albeit the Midwest. And when I was first here, half the time, I couldn't understand what half of these people were saying. And I'm from the U.S. I couldn't have even imagined. You said that half of your classes in Shanghai were in English, half of them were in Chinese. But all of a sudden, I assume in Fordham, they weren't teaching half of those classes in a foreign language. I assume that they were teaching them all in English, and you were just expected to be
yes,
there.
Of course.
Yeah. Psychologically, what was that like? How did you even communicate with your roommates?
Yeah, that's the language issue, like, it's like the most important issue I'm at. It's the most difficulty. But for my roommates, it's fine because my roommates are also Chinese. So really, but not only the roommate issue, it's like you live here, you know, you live here for 1.5 years or 2 years, and you have to conquer this language issue. And at first, it's true that I cannot understand like all of my classes, and I even cannot understand like all of the thing that my professor or classmates are talking about. But along the time, I'm always like exercising on, not exercise, sorry, it's practicing listening and speaking. So at first it's really struggle, and I really want to find as much places I can find to practice my spoken English.
I've got to just have to ask this though. You're sitting in class, not understanding a word of what's being said. Huh? Like, I just can't even imagine what that would be like. Were you just sitting there trying to grasp onto a word here or there? Were you sitting there letting it wash over? Did you gradually start to understand a word or two here?
Oh, no. It's not like that. It's because we take the language test before came here, and then we can apply for the university. So I have the basic and also the standard to understand it. But it's like I said, it's not all that I can understand. Maybe I can understand 90%, but the other 10% is like I need to use my imagination or my other kind of ability to understand that. And even I can ask others, and I can also ask the professors, right? So that's the way that I can to try to understand the most that I can.
But I gotta ask, how often was your imagination right?
I think since I was a business student, and then I'm learning marketing intelligence, it's kind of similar. So I have some basic foundation in my head. So I think my imagination is like maybe 80%, right? But some of the classmates, they are not business students before. So I think they are more struggled than me. But Yeah.
I'll tell you, my own imagination probably would have been 30% right, but that's because I'm crazy. And I would have been thinking about all sorts of lunatic stuff. I'm glad you got 80%. I'm impressed.
You should be fine. You're from US, right?
Let's not go there. So, anyway, back to you, who's the star of the show today. Johana, Toastmaster, how on earth did you hear about these people? These Toastmasters folks? Did you even know what a Toastmaster was? Did you even know I assume you knew what toast was.
Yes, I know what toast was, but not the toast that maybe you understand. So it's very interesting. It's an interesting story. So when I came here, I know that I have already know that I'm not had advantage in speaking a foreign English as a second language, right? So at that time when I came here, I just want to find a place that can practice my English, since I'm here and I had to make myself fluent in speaking. Yeah. So in China, in every university, there is a place called English Corner. I don't know if Americans can understand what English Corner is, but English Corner is not a corner. It's a places where called environment that people only speak English. Oh. So that's the way that we practice English at school. But when I came here, I just thought, maybe there's a place for called English Corner, for us to practice. But unfortunately, I didn't find an English corner here at Fordham, but in the club fair found Toastmasters. I didn't know what Toastmaster is before I walked into the club fair. Mm-hmm. So, and when I first heard about it there, Toastmasters, my friends and I were thinking, Toastmaster, maybe something related to baking. Maybe they teach people how to bake. And then we think about, okay, it's a business school. It's maybe not related with. And then when the people, the board members introduce Toastmaster to us, and then we realized the toast is not that toast, is when you are cheering with people, maybe drinking. That's the kind of toast that they mean. So then I understand, okay, Toastmaster is to something related to public speaking and leadership, management, improvement. Can you hear me?
I totally can. What was it like when you went to your first Toastmasters meeting?
So I went to the open house for that club, and I just thought maybe I'm not going to think about public speaking is matters a lot to me. At first, I'm not thinking about that, but I'm thinking, okay, they do the presentation in English, so then maybe it's a great chance for me to see this club as an English corner. So that's my initial thinking about this club. Okay, then I came to the open house to see how that worked. And then for that open house, I learned about what's prepared speech, what's table topic, and maybe was a lot of roles here. And I think it's kind of interesting, and it's also meets what I need. Yes, I want to practice, and I want to, and maybe at that time I was not thinking that deep, to practice my presentation skills, because at that time I'm not speaking very fluently, so I'm not that level at all. So, but at that meeting, I really enjoyed the meeting. But I will call myself at that time not a really brave person, because when there's a first meeting, the board members, the officers will call some people to do prepare speech. Mm-hmm. And in that meeting, maybe 10 people went onto the stage to do the table topic, but I'm not including that. At that time, I was so nervous, and I just didn't. I'm afraid of standing in front of that stage, and I'm so nervous, and didn't raise my hand for that volunteer table topic. So that is my first meeting Toastmasters, and after that meeting, I feel so pity. I should encourage myself more to attend, to go out on the stage, to do a table topic. It's only 1 or 2 minutes. And I feel so bad about myself at that time, since I do not have the courage. Yeah. How
did you conquer that fear?
So, it was difficult. Yes. And, like what I mentioned, I was really, regret about myself, didn't go onto the stage to do the impromptu. So when here comes to the first meeting, I just push myself. At that time, I need to use push. I push myself to volunteer to do one table topic on the stage. And at that time, I even don't know what I'm talking about. I was so nervous, and I can feel my heartbeat.
Wow.
I can hear my heartbeat, and I feel so nervous and don't know what I'm saying. Wow. But I will say that is not a successful table topic, but at least I came to the stage and speak in front of a lot of people there. So that's my first time. Not very successful, but you know what? I'm feeling after that table topic I did is that I felt a sense of achievement. It's not because I'm doing very great. It's because I conquer my fear to go onto the stage to talk in front of people. So that made me feeling very well. And I feel it's not so difficult, right? It's not that difficult, I'm imagining. So that's my first table topic. I feel really well. Even I'm not doing it in a very great way, but just trying to conquer a fear. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your very first prepared speech about?
My first prepared speech is a little later than several meetings, because we met bi-weekly. And for the first several meetings, I did the table topics only. And when it comes to maybe the 4th or 5th meeting, I became a paid member. And then I tried to encourage myself to do the prepared speech. So I still remember the topic I was introduce myself, and the icebreaker. I prepared for it for almost 1 week.
Wow.
I prepared for a speech for 1 week, and I'm not using that long time, but at that time I need to write down every single word I want to say.
Yeah.
Since at that time I was still thinking about a lot of things in Chinese in my language from my hometown. So then I read them all down, and then try to recite all of them. Yeah. That's my way to prepare for it. And then at the time on that Friday, I went to the stage to give the speech. Actually, I remembered when I did the speech, I just forgot everything.
Oh.
It's when you went onto the stage,
Wow.
you feel a little nervous, and the nervous will make you like forget everything. But at that time, I still remember the outline of my speech, and then some of the language I just freestyle with it. Maybe try to do the impromptu like table topic. So then that's my first speech. I finish it in the correct time, but I feel that after that speech, I feel, okay, I can do that better. So next time I will prepare enough for, so that I do not need to, forgot all the things like that. And I will try to do some rehearsal before my speech. Yeah. So using that way, I can be better and better and improve in the prepared speech. And now I don't need to use 1 week to prepare for it. And I even don't need to like write all the things down. I just need to make some notes on like the outline of the top, like the speech, and then I can do the prepared speech very well.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I also, like you, used to write every word down, memorize it. It took me a week, multiple practice sessions every day to get that thing memorized. Now, longest takes me maybe 3 days. And sometimes I can even just do it the night before and walk in there and do that. That's an amazing skill that we don't talk about a lot as Toastmasters, because it saves time and you feel more confident. Looking back on yourself, putting all that work into the first speech and looking at where you are now, can you believe it?
No, sometimes I still think it's a dream, since I remember that one thing. I was in undergraduate. I saw, I was in Shanghai, and there's a lot of foreign people there, Americans, Europeans there, and I saw some Chinese. They talk to Americans or other, like the foreign people, very frequently and fluently. So I really admire them. And at that time I saw, okay, maybe one day I can become the kind of people they were.
Wow.
And now I was thinking, I'm looking back. Okay, now I think I'm really comfortable if I'm the kind of person who are talking with that foreigner. I'm comfortable with myself to maybe become friends with them or even communicate with them about any topic. I'm not saying I'm perfect now in speaking. It takes time, but now what I think Toastmaster really, I benefit from it is that kind of courage to speak up. And I conquer myself. Before I was afraid of speak up even in a classroom. But now I'm not nervous. Even now I'm talking to you in this podcast, right? I'm still having some issues with my talking, but I'm not nervous anymore. Mm-hmm. I can think about things like in a correct order, and I'm not that nervous. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about being in class, because you were taking class.
Yeah.
While you were in Toastmasters, and you said that you were nervous about speaking up in class. Did you talk in class at all during those early days, or what did you do?
As you can tell that I'm a really outgoing person, right? So, but I was totally different when I was in classroom.
Really?
Since if at that time before I came here, when there's like my professor called me to answer a question, I was really afraid of that, and I just didn't know how to conquer those fear of speaking in front of people especially in the classroom.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I say it correct or wrong. And I was always thinking that the professor wants the correct answer. After joining Toastmaster, I thought, okay, it's not matter that the answer is correct or wrong. It's better if you say it correctly. But the first thing for you is to be brave and speak and say something. That's what I'm thinking now. And then my classmates, they also found out that I changed a little since before I even didn't want to say anything in the classroom. But in the second semester, in the spring term and the semester after, I turned to be more proactive in classes, and I have the courage to ask questions even. So I think that's a little challenging for me before, but now I'm comfortable with this. Yeah.
That's amazing. Was there a day when you realized that you changed?
Maybe afterwards. Now. Yeah. So the change is, I cannot say that I'm changing immediately. It's like, it takes time. And the things change, gradually. So, when here comes to the time that, I feel like I'm not that nervous. I have this question and I have to ask my professor, because if I didn't ask it, I will be really confused about that. So that make me, before, like the previous me won't do that things in class. But since I change a lot and I feel more comfortable with myself and feel more courage, I just can make it. Yeah.
Speaking in class wasn't good enough for you, was it, Johana? You had world domination in your in your plans, or at least domination of your Toastmasters club, right? Because somehow you ended up the president of it. What happened?
Oh, that's a long story. So, I always thought that I have a kind of potential to become a leader. So that's why I try to apply it from, like, I first applied for the board member, and then we can choose which officers we want to try. And then I thought, okay, now I'm like applying for officers, so why not choose the most like difficult one, or choose something that really can challenge myself. So that's why I chose president, since I wanted to practice my leadership skill, management skill, and also communication skill. I was also a president of another club in my undergraduate study. So that experience also gave me a lot of courage to believe in myself that I can do this well. So with this kind of a little leadership experience, I applied for this president role. And also the previous board members, they thought, okay, maybe I was a person fitting this role. So then after their selection, we do the transfer about me as a president there. So it take maybe a couple months, but I think the thing is I wanted to try this role, and they think some experience before really suitable for it.
You are made the president of your Toastmasters Club in 2019. And then the event occurred that has changed all of our lives.
Yeah.
How was it being a leader during the crisis that we have lived through for the past year and a half?
It's great, like memory and bad memory half and half, since it's true, it's really, really difficult to get all the things through the pandemic. And we tried very much to make the club and the events still going on online. So we make the transformation from in-person meetings to online meetings, and we did a lot of preparation with our board members. So it's really difficult. Why I'm saying that is because people are not engaging enough at that time, and people fear of getting COVID, and then a lot of people won't engage in Toastmaster anymore very frequently. So the first difficulty is due to transformation, and the second one is that we are lack of participants at the time, since a lot of foreign, international students especially, they just defer their offer. They just didn't come, and then we did not have enough students there, since we are a club in a university.
Right.
So it's too difficult to promote and to get more members or participants. But at that time, we still make the events, the meetings going, because we still wanted to be a live club. A lot of clubs at that time, they just did not do anything because COVID. They had to stop it because maybe their events format is not available for an online meeting or that, but we did it. I think we did a great transformation, and also make this all the clubs, all the meetings going through and practice ourselves. Even though sometimes there's no participants, but our board members are still want to make the meetings. Right.
What is the most important thing that you've learned about being a leader through Toastmasters?
That's a really broad question, but let me narrow it down. I think the most important I learned in this leadership experience is that you need to be organized, and also you need to have great communication style, communications with your board members, so that you can all work for the same goal. So that, because we met a lot of difficulties that maybe others won't experience that. But as a leader, I have to make sure that everyone is willing to do what they are doing, and they believe in the same goal we are working for, making this club alive and making this club better. So when here comes to team cooperations, there's a lot of things that involve, communications, and and depends on if the team member is participating very well. So I always have, since we have six people in my board, and also we always communicate very efficiently, I think, and we trust each other, so that we can cooperate a lot. Since to do a meeting, you need to do a lot of things, preparations, and also host the meetings, make the do the real meeting. So all the preparation, you have to cooperate with the board members. Now, it's not like you yourself are doing everything you're on your own. It's like the secretary will do her like responsibility, and the vice president of education will do his thing, and everyone collaborates with each other. That all depends on communication. So I think to make sure everyone's communication, every part's communication is very well, and to keep all the schedule organized is my biggest responsibility, to make the things through moving very well.
You are at the beginning of your career. You've got a great job with Stepstone.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is in your shoes, who's a young professional or starting out their own careers, who might be thinking, I've heard about Toastmasters, but it doesn't seem like it might be for me? How would you respond to them?
I will start with the benefits. I think the advantage I think that like I got from Toastmasters. So to make it in 2 points, I think first is my improvement on my speaking English, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone can see that I'm improving. And the second one is that Toastmaster really helped me on my career searching process.
Oh, tell us about that. I don't think a lot of people know that is even possible.
Yes, a lot of people don't think it's possible. It's right. Usually, especially when it comes to business school, everyone is doing like these, participating in like networking events.
Yeah.
Or technical events, like let's workshops like that. But they think, okay, join Toastmaster will give me more what they're thinking about. Okay, I will say, absolutely, we will improve our presentation, public speaking skills. That's one thing. And another thing is that what Toastmaster helped me, is to give a kind of impression to my interviewers that when I mentioned I joined Toastmasters. And why I'm very proud of that is I didn't miss any single meeting of my club since I joined.
Wow.
I didn't miss any single meeting. I spent every the second Friday into the meeting. So that's why when I'm talking about it, I know everything about that. I'm really brave, and also when I talk about my Toastmaster experience, especially when I was I am a foreigner here. Mm-hmm, so when they heard about my experience, they will know, okay, I am a really aspirant person. Yeah. And I'm really determined that because I just want to practice and improve myself, and I make some action to do that. A lot of people, when they are thinking about things, they didn't like do it. You have to take actions to do it so that you can improve, and you need to be patient to yourself because this won't happen immediately. So when I'm talking with my interviewers about I'm a president of a club, so he or she will believe in that, my true experience, and I really take actions on the things that I think is not my advantage. So that makes me a really great impression to them. And when they heard about my speaking, they truly understand how much how much effort I put in it, so that they believe in my story. They believe my story, and I think this really give them a great impression about me. And a lot of people when talking with them about Toastmasters, since every US American, like where people around the world knows Toastmasters. Yes. So they really agree with what the things you are doing. Mm-hmm. So that is how Toastmaster helped me a lot, not only on the side of speaking or presenting like that. Yeah.
A little girl who grew up in a small seaside town in China comes to New York City, changes her life, starts her career, and is always seeking to improve and move into the next step. Johana, what do you see in your future?
Sorry, excuse me. I have a lot of dreams actually. That's why I'm continuing achieving each one of it. And I'm a kind of person always want to experience more. So I have a big goal in my next steps. So I think since I have already graduated and this is like a temporarily stop on my education study, and then I just joined the company for like 3 or 4 months. So there's a lot of things I need to learn, and I'm thinking that I really want to keep more deeper into this industry and learn a lot of things. Like as a working professionals, it's a little. It will take time when you transfer from a student perspective to a working professional. So my goals now is to doing this transfer, and I hope that I can be more professional, maybe in 1 or 2 years and gain a lot of experience here. So that is what I'm thinking. And since I will never give up on Toastmasters, I will still keep practicing, because I know that what level I am now, and I want to be better. So that is also a great goal of me, that in the future I really want to become the kind of people like you, like a native speaker. But it's a really big dream, but I think if I work very hard, I will maybe make it. And yeah,
I'm quite confident that whatever you want to do, you will. Johana, It has been great having you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. For those of you listening or watching, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review or comment. Also, do not forget to follow District 46 on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you're new to Toastmasters, check out toastmasters46.org. That's toastmasters46.org to learn more about us or visit one of our clubs. Toastmasters is where leaders are made.
Thank you so much for joining us on Transformational Pathways. If you enjoyed today's episode or got anything out of it, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about Toastmasters District 46, check out the link in the show notes below.